Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul joined alongside Jack Weinberger and Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia. A really fun day for us. I mean, Ziggy's over here pouting, shaking his head, saying none of this matters. But
I'm not. I mean, it's schedule release day for a lot of people. This is their first time finding out who their team's going to be playing next year. That's exciting stuff.
I love schedule release day. We're gonna crack a beer, Jack and I. And actually,
yeah, cheers. Before the show started, Paul was like, I don't know if Jack knows how to crack open a beer.
No. I didn't say you didn't know how to crack open a beer.
So I'm going to do this for everyone to see. I know I'm not,
dense is what the word you said.
Yeah. So
look, I have a can here. I just cracked the can. Jack, I said,
here's an opener.
I can see you opening the bottle and having it go. Yeah, like look at this. Like I can see
opened. Pour into the cup.
There's just a lot of technology in front of us. I believe that you can open a bottle of beer. I was just,
I mean, that took some effort.
Use the computer and pour the beer on your freaking computer on purpose with that nonsense.
I was just making sure. I have a little more arm room over here. I thought I was being nice. It was supposed to be a courtesy.
I'm in my Darty Time shirt too. I'm drinking out of a solo cup.
Like there's a chance that you knock that bottle off the bar here during the show. I can see you getting mad or something
because I'm not dense.
We'll see.
Cheers. And Friday Junior, everyone. So cheers to Friday Junior. It's great to have the weekend approaching. How nice is that?
Do the fans like my Darty Time shirt? See the little red solo cup?
It's getting a little warmer outside right now.
Yep.
Thursday afternoon. Is it? I mean, it really doesn't beat that, does it?
If you guys want a Darty, hit us up. I host them every Saturday.
We're talking about getting some palm trees brought in.
Open invite. They got a die table in the back. The pool's open soon.
Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. I mean, look, this is the channel for you if you just want to chill out on Thursday, crack a beer, and enjoy some football.
I will say this got to be a quick episode because my sister has friends over. I got to go back to the house.
Let us know what game you're looking forward to most on the schedule right now. Drop it in the chat. Become a member, too. We have our member count going up. And remember, when we get to 50 members, I will wear, it's over there, I see it, the Jordan Love jersey. I'll wear the Packer jersey just for one episode.
I'll wear the Packers poncho.
Ziggy will wear the Packers poncho.
I'll be naked.
Jack will be naked.
I'll be naked.
100,000 subscribers and Jack goes on a darkness retreat and we try and get Ziggy on The Bachelor. So there's some motivation to try and increase the channel viewership and membership and subscribers. And remember, you can listen on audio as well. The audio numbers have been improving lately as well. If you can't catch us on YouTube, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. A lot of fun plans. With the NFL schedule coming out, it's kind of spurring us a little bit to look at next season, saying, all right, what kind of events, what things do we want to do? And actually, I'll put this out there for any Packers fans who are listening. We want to try and go, or Vikings fans, we want to try and go to the Viking-Packer game. It's week 4, September 28th, 7th, somewhere around there. If we do go out there, it could be fun to try and do a live show at a bar. If there's any bar that you can think of in the Green Bay area, that would be fun to host a live show, do a little event, giveaways, beer chugging, whatever it might be. Let us know in the comment section, and we might try and get on that now. I mean, that would be amazing.
Oh, I'd love to be there. Do a little meet and greet, chug some beer with some cheeseheads.
Oh, and see JJ McCarthy waltz in
and kick the Packers ass.
Absolutely dominant.
Jordan Love's season ruined.
That'd be amazing.
I wouldn't be at the game. I'd meet like some friends at the bar beforehand and just stay there and watch it and keep drinking. That's what I would do.
Yeah. I think you might be converted to a Packer fan a weekend in Wisconsin.
Might be.
Wisconsin's a great place to hang out. Ziggy and I would be taking on the whole state. It would be tough, but a lot of fun. So let us know. Let us know in the comments.
These Packer fans would be, this Jack guy is so cool. The game would be empty. They wouldn't go to the game. They would just remain out with you, remain in the bar. Yeah.
So later on in today's show, we will also have a mailbag. Thanks to everyone who submitted questions beforehand. We're going to get to as many of those as we can. And then we're going to do periodically some schedule prediction shows. These won't be attached to full episodes. They'll exist on their own, but we'll have them for all the NFC North teams, a couple of the other big brands, and we'll continue to do that throughout the offseason. But for now, the schedule release. Remember, the schedule release, look, I love it. I think it's a ton of fun going down and seeing. We have it in front of us right now, every single game. Sunday night football, Thursday night, Christmas Day, Thanksgiving. I think it's a lot of fun to see when are we in prime time, what big matchups do we have on the calendar. I know we know who we're going to have. I know we know the home and away games for our teams, but I always enjoyed this. At the same time, though, when you look over, the Vikings, for example, have a really tough beginning of the schedule. It's easy to see your schedule as a fan of a team and say, oh my God, do you see how we open or do you see how we close? But you got to keep in mind, too, things change in the NFL so quickly. Remember last year, if you see Cincinnati on your schedule late in the year, you're going, oh God, when the Bengals get going, Joe Burrow's rolling, he's hurt. The Jets early in the schedule, really tough games. Rodgers goes down. None of it matters. Things change so quickly in the NFL that think about last year as well. The Rams, Texans, and there's one more team I'm trying to think, and the Bucks, 3 playoff teams who were all on the ESPN's top 5 most likely to have the number 1 pick in the draft. Playoff teams. So you just never really know. But still, I find it a lot of fun. So why don't we start, guys? We're going to go through a few games, some big matchups that we like, some revenge spots we like. But we'll start week 1 here. Out of these 3 games, Packers and Eagles on the Friday night game in Brazil. The Chiefs opened the season against Baltimore on Thursday Night Football at home. And then the Jets go to San Francisco. So Aaron Rodgers returns from his injury at San Francisco, of all places, on Monday Night Football. Which one of those 3 immediately jumps out? It's like, all right, that's the one I really, really want to watch.
Well, I did forget that game was in Brazil, Eagles-Packers. That's pretty neat. I forgot it wasn't in Philly. I'm looking at Pittsburgh. It looks like 17-0. But out of those 3 games, I'd probably say the Jets and the Niners. I mean, Aaron Rodgers returns to where he's from. He's from that area, right? San Francisco.
Yep.
Hasn't played
That's where he grew up.
Hasn't played football in a little while. And I mean, now he goes on the road off an injury at night to a team who is off a Super Bowl loss.
Yeah.
That could be pretty vicious, but I'm curious to see how he performs, how the Jets perform in a game like that against a good team like that.
The thing I'm always looking for some of these early games is seeding implications as you get later into the playoffs.
Yep.
Like if you're going to win 9 or 10 games, you're going to win 9 or 10 games regardless. But when you're talking about the games that'll have the most implications, I think it has to be Kansas City, Baltimore, right? The Chiefs in their first 2 weeks, they play Baltimore and they play Cincinnati. Those are 2 teams that could be competing for them for the 1 seed in the AFC, depending on how things go. And of course, as we've seen the past couple of years, the Chiefs have a tendency to get off to a slow start. They're still figuring out things on the offense, and it's going to be more of the same this year. It's going to be a real test for Patrick Mahomes that early. And if they win those games, I think they're in the driver's seat to get the 1 seed. And if not, it's going to be an uphill battle.
All right, so let's real quick. I want to revisit the Jets topic that you brought up, Jack, with Aaron Rodgers going back to San Francisco. Remember that Jets offensive line too. 4 new pieces on the O-line for the Jets. It takes a while for those things to get acclimated. And especially with Rodgers coming back game 1, you got to think there'll be some kinks to work out. Well, San Francisco just feels like a well-oiled machine. So a tough draw. But if you go down, let's look at the Jets here for a second. The NFL is excited to see Aaron Rodgers back. They didn't hold back at all. The Jets have 2 Thursday night football games, San Francisco and Buffalo. They have a Thursday night game against New England. Go to England to play the Vikings. Halloween Thursday night game against the Texans, and a Sunday night game against the Colts. I mean, their schedule is absolutely filled up with primetime games to watch Aaron Rodgers.
I was hoping that the Jets were going to open up at home again.
Oh, that was amazing.
It's unfortunate they've got 2 games on the road to start, and then subpar New England teams their first game at home.
You go up and down their schedule. I don't think it's necessarily that it's open up. Remember last year they had the gauntlet of Kansas City and Dallas and Buffalo.
Philly, right? Yeah.
This year, San Francisco, that's Tennessee, New England, Denver, Minnesota. I mean, that could be a 4-1 start for Rodgers. That's exactly what the doctor ordered after San Francisco.
Well, they'll be favored the next 4 games after San Francisco.
Yeah. So even if they lose that for the Jets, you got to think that's a team. We were talking about just the offensive line, but as a whole, it might take a few games to get everyone going. If you shake the rust off there, I mean, now you're ready to go into that Buffalo game, Pittsburgh game. You have a little gas behind you. And I think the Jets are a winner from the schedule release, just from taking a look at it right now. And the other reason, I mean, I know I'm kind of already bouncing all over the place here, but the other reason is look over at Buffalo, how they start the season. Did you see the Bills, Ziggy?
Yeah, it's definitely a tough start, right? I mean, it's a pretty easy start versus Arizona, but then you're at Miami, versus Jacksonville, at Baltimore, at Houston, at New York.
Oh. I mean, that's a tough start there. At the same time, remember last season how Buffalo gets off to a tough start. Miami jumps out to the early success. Baltimore then, or the Bills end the year. Well, they have the Patriots, the Jets, and the Patriots again. I can easily see a scenario where Buffalo struggles early. Everyone's getting on them. Oh, is Josh Allen without Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis? Is this going to be a season where they struggle? And then at the end of the year, they start to come on a little bit. I can see that for Buffalo. Meanwhile, Miami in the AFC East, they kind of start off relatively light, but they close the year. I wish Zach was here for this, but they close the year at Green Bay versus the Jets, at Texans versus San Francisco, at Cleveland, at the Jets. I mean, that is a brutal finish.
It's almost as brutal as the freaking Steelers finish.
So the AFC East, I think it's going to be fun where you have that really tough start for Buffalo, really tough finish for Miami, and the Jets kind of have their tough games scattered. So it should be fun watching. I think there's going to be a lot of movement, big time movement going on throughout the season. I'm sorry for completely derailing the show there on the AFC East tangent.
Well, the AFC East is one of the more interesting divisions. And when you talk, I like to say in general, I think schedule stuff often doesn't matter. Yeah. But for a team like the Jets, where there's such high expectations and everyone is on edge, there's almost everyone has a hot seat in that building in one way or another. Mm-hmm. Winning a few games early in the season, even if it doesn't really matter, right? Because everyone's got their schedule. If at the end of week 5 or week 6, you're sitting at 1 and you can just look down at your phone and say, all right, we're in the leading division, we're in the driver's seat. That is the kind of thing that can help a lot of that early season nerves that I think probably everyone in the building except Aaron Rodgers is going to be feeling. Relax a little bit.
Oh, he's dropping an Aaron Rodgers quote.
I was super enticed when this all started to get leaked and come out by this week 5 game, Buffalo at Houston. I don't know if people will agree, but that jumped on the page for me. I got Diggs back playing against Buffalo, that whole narrative. Yes, I get it. But what makes this interesting to me is how this season, there is, in a lot of people's eyes, deep run aspirations, maybe even Super Bowl aspirations for Houston. And Buffalo seems to have taken that step back. I'm curious to see how this type of game does play out. It's still the Bills. It's still Josh Allen, a top 3 quarterback in football, versus the young hotshot rising star CJ Stroud. A game the Texans will probably be favored in at home. That's an interesting one to me.
Well, Paul, you remember the Stephon Diggs revenge game against the Vikings, right?
I mean, look, I thought he played. What were his numbers?
No, I'm saying it was his he put up 130 yards that game.
He had the crazy one-handed catch too. He had
that's
got upstaged by Jefferson, but I remember Diggs being great. Yeah,
is that
I wasn't doubting him.
Is that game is 1:00 4:25? Do we know yet?
It's not currently scheduled for prime time, but I think there's. That won't be a primetime game. Everything else is taken up.
Yeah, remember, we're recording this, so the schedule is just about out at the time that we're recording this, so maybe there's a chance there's some movement of things.
It's a 1 p.m. game. That's basically what it's scheduled for.
Houston, Jack, I think when you first said Houston and Buffalo was a game you circled, I actually wrote in the chat, I was like, really? That's the game you're going with? But I see where you're coming from, because that's going to be the first opportunity for Houston to show they can hang with the big boys, so to say.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's say Buffalo can lose in Miami, loses at Baltimore. Let's say Buffalo's, 1-2-2, 1-3. Houston's 3-1 or 4-0 or whatever.
And that could be almost not a kill shot because it's so early in the season, but that's an opportunity for Houston to put their foot down and say, all right, we're here.
Or Buffalo comes in your home building and Buffalo's quote unquote taking a step back, beats you.
Yeah. So I actually really like that game as well. For Houston, you go up and down their schedule. I mean, the NFL is clearly excited for CJ Stroud. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm counting holidays here. They have 6 primetime or holiday games. People want to watch CJ Stroud play football. And these big games that they have, against Dallas, against Kansas City, against Baltimore, they have a tough schedule. All those games are primetime. It's going to be Houston's a team that's going to be centered by the NFL for a lot of this season. And I think you're going to see CJ Stroud rise to the occasion. He seems like the kind of kid who is composed, who's ready to take that step into stardom, not just being a star, like superstardom. I think that was a great game to circle. And that Buffalo game is a great first test for the Texans. We're definitely going to have a Texans prediction video coming.
I'm also excited for this week 1 Texans at Colts game with AR.
Oh, AR back.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be good. But I mean, you talk about that being their first test, that's one of the only tests they have on their schedule until that really tough, brutal run. Obviously, at Packers, October 20th is going to be a big test. But then, it's not until week 11 at Cowboys they're really playing another team that's a juggernaut. And then you finish versus Dolphins, at Chiefs, versus Ravens, at Titans. And I know the Titans aren't supposed to be the best team in the world, but the Titans always play hard against teams in the division. And you're in Tennessee, especially, not to disrespect Titans fans here, but in those meaningless games when the Titans are out of playoff consideration, I've often seen that's when the team really steps up and plays well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's a tough close. And if you haven't done well against the Bills, against the Packers, Thursday night against the Jets, maybe could be tough.
How old CJ Stroud?
Was CJ Stroud 22?
22.
I think so. So 22. Ziggy, do you have that in front of you?
He's 22. He'll be 23 by the time those games roll around, though. Birth date's October 3rd.
Oh, mine's the 18th. I mean, look, that right. If that's a meaningful, which it will be, that last game in Tennessee, which could be massive, it's got to be tough to stay off Broadway on a Saturday night if you're 23 years old. I mean, that's got to be tough to stay off Broadway on a Saturday. I was walking around Nashville. I'm like, dang, like it must be hard for these rookies who are 21, 22, 23 to just stay home and compose themselves with this whole scene around.
Oh, man. It depends on the fine. It depends on the fine.
Like, there's no way I'd control it. Like, I have a game tomorrow. I don't care. Let me go out to Aldean's.
Man, that is going to be Miami, Kansas City, Baltimore, 3 of your final 4 games. All teams. Miami, they're kind of flying under the radar right now. They were a candidate for the 1 seed late into last season. For the Texans, that's going to be an opportunity. We talk about how challenging it is, but for a team with Super Bowl aspirations, if you want to go to the Super Bowl, you have to beat these teams. This is a chance to then get those playoff games in your home building. And I know it's tough to go to Baltimore, to Miami, but you go and win those games, and all of a sudden a Super Bowl shot becomes more realistic. Like, that's the part of the schedule to really circle for Houston here. How about you, Ziggy? That was the game. That's what Jack was really interested in. Is there anything that you picked out on this schedule and said, all right, I can't wait to see this stretch or this revenge spot?
There's a few games that stand out to me as being interesting, but to me, the game I'm really excited for, I know it's a divisional rivalry, but Rams at San Francisco, December 15th. As I've been sort of saying, I think this Rams team really has a potential to be good. And the way their schedule is set up, the 49ers have a substantially harder schedule than the Rams this year. But you look at that game, it's going to be the 49ers coming off a bye, playing the Rams. The Rams will be coming off probably a tough game in Buffalo. But everyone's acting like the NFC West is sort of wrapped up. It never
They
is.
are. Everyone is.
And honestly, if you look at the way that these teams are going to be getting there, it seems pretty likely to me. The Rams have some of their harder games backloaded. It seems pretty likely to me that the teams are going to be pretty close there. So that's definitely one that stands out to me.
You're right when you talk about the way everyone perceives the NFC West is that the 49ers just won it. Like that's how everyone talks about it. If we're doing an NFL division show, we're probably going to start saying, it seems pretty clear the 49ers are going to run away with this thing. But let's see.
I think I'm one of those people.
Yeah, I think a lot. I think almost everyone is, except maybe Ziggy, who's been on the Rams.
The Zigmeister.
I mean, Ziggy was on the Rams before it was cool to be on the Rams. And then we said they probably have, when healthy, maybe the best quarterback in the conference in Matthew Stafford. Ziggy, I also tend to lean towards that camp of the 49ers are going to win this division by multiple games by the end of the year. It really won't be too close. But the Rams are going to have, that's a great opportunity for the Rams to go and is that at San Francisco?
No, that's at home. So it doesn't really matter. They're both games the Rams, it is at San Francisco, but both games the Rams play against San Francisco are away games, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you got to think the Rams are the only I'm not super high on Arizona or Seattle this year. I'm looking at San Francisco's schedule right now, I have a hard time. I mean, they do have a tough stretch here with Kansas City, Dallas, Green Bay, and Buffalo over the course of 6 games, so that could be a spot. And then Detroit, Miami after the Rams. Yeah, that could be a spot where the Rams steal it. San Francisco has some, difficult bookends to that game.
Yeah, I mean, you're coming off the bye. You're looking ahead to Miami. You're looking ahead to Detroit. A lot can go wrong there.
I actually think that if I were picking a game on first glance on the schedule, I think that Detroit-San Francisco game could be huge. In week 16, Monday Night Football in San Francisco.
Week 17.
Or Week 17.
That could be for the number one seed.
That could be for the number one seed. We talk about, Detroit. For as much as people loved Houston, Detroit finally, fans are sitting back. They have no idea what they're looking at on this schedule. They're going, holy crap, we have 6 primetime or holiday games this year. Like, the NFL wants to see the Lions. They want to see Jared Goff, who just got this massive contract. I think that game against San Francisco, that could be for the 1 seed there. And, potentially, Super Bowl aspirations for Detroit as well. That's the one that I'm looking at and saying, all right, I can't wait to see what this Lions team does with all the attention on them. Can they live up to it?
There was a few Lions games that really enticed me too. Also, the Lions at Texans. I forget the exact week. Maybe like week 10.
That's week 10.
On Sunday Night Football.
And in Houston, look, for the average NFL fan last year, I think that was most people's dream Super Bowl matchup was Lions Texans. And now we're gonna get to see that Stroud versus Goff, maybe a Super Bowl preview for this season.
Yeah, no, I think that's another
prime time, all eyes on.
They have a little stretch here too, week 13, 14, where they host Chicago and Green Bay. Who knows how Chicago is going to be? There's sky high expectations. They host Chicago on Thanksgiving, and then they host Green Bay on Thursday Night Football. A weird turnaround for Green Bay having 2 straight, and Detroit having 2 straight Thursday night games. But that's another spot there on that schedule. 2 division matchups in a row in prime time. Like, that'll be fun to watch as well for the Lions there.
There was
sorry. I was gonna say, as long as we're making some connections here. You talk about week 17 games for the 1 seed. You can't forget about the Ravens-Texans game either.
Isn't it? Yeah, we are kind of connecting everything, aren't we?
That's Christmas Day, right?
Christmas Day, yeah. Christmas Day, you have... So wait, Christmas Day, there's 2 games, right?
Yeah, Steelers, Chiefs, and Ravens, Texans.
I mean, all the powerhouses in the AFC playing in one day.
Yeah,
What a present for Jack.
So I usually do celebrate Christmas, but I can't not be in Pittsburgh in a meaningful game when we host the Chiefs.
Are you going to that?
So I would love to go to that.
You're not.
And I'll just.
You're not going to that.
I'll just tell my mom, be like, Mom, like, I'm with Dad this year. I'm fully Jewish.
Fully Jewish.
I'm fully Jewish this year. No Christmas celebrations for me this year. I got to go to Steelers Chiefs. My sister wants to go too. T Swift will be in attendance. I think we might miss Christmas this year in the Weinberger household, but that's all right. We'll light the menorah instead.
Oh my gosh, I mean, maybe your Jack's converting for a day.
Yeah, I'll go. Look,
of all days, Christmas Day, but Jack is converting religions for a day.
My dad's Jewish, so this year's fully Jewish.
Ziggy, I'm sorry, you led that charge. Go ahead, continue.
Well, I was just going to say, like, the Texans. The division should be a little bit weaker than the AFC North. I'm not going to try and offend anyone here, but I think the AFC South is probably going to be a weaker division than the AFC North next year. So the Texans have, I think, a built-in advantage in their schedule. But as you sort of saw at the end of last season, I mean, the Texans, they made the playoffs and they did pretty well, but they were in real danger of missing the playoffs last season. That's not going to happen this year. They've got, up until that final stretch, a relatively easy schedule compared to the rest of the NFL. But then you get that versus Miami, you get that Kansas City game, you get that Baltimore game. And that's tough, right?
Dude,
but if they're able to survive that and withstand it, sorry, go.
Oh, no, I don't even know if I necessarily they have Green Bay, at the Jets, versus Detroit, at Dallas. Texans have.
I mean, those are the hard games, right? But their easy games are probably going to be easier, right? You get to go to you get a road game in New England. You get to play the Texans. You get to play the Colts. You get to play one of your primetime games is versus the Bears. I'm sorry, but the Bears are not going to be that good. But it's certainly possible they'll be in that 1 seed contention if they're able to improve as much as people are hoping this year, or really just keep the momentum from last season.
What about low key week 1, the Bears against the Panthers?
I'm sorry. Oh wait, the Bears play the Titans. Week 1.
No, I thought it was Panthers.
I'm saying Titans. I see Carolina week 5.
Oh, well, it's early in the year.
All right, go ahead. Continue anyway. Where is this going? The number 1 pick scoring off?
Yeah, just Caleb Williams versus Bryce Young.
That's kind of fun. Because Bryce Young has, this is the, I think everyone wrote off last year for Bryce Young.
I saw some fake leak. It was Bears week 1.
That's okay. I think everyone wrote off last season for Bryce Young as, this team stunk. And otherwise, people are completely just done with him, like Jack, who's been done with him for a year.
No, this is the Jack Weinberger Bowl. This is the Bus Bowl.
Bus Bowl.
We'll see. It'll be 6-3. We'll see who's worse.
Well, Bryce Young though is crazy that we find ourselves talking about the Panthers, who have no primetime games, maybe one, at New Orleans versus the Chargers, at the Raiders to start the season. There are expectations now for Bryce Young to perform better than last year. I know that the team didn't really improve too much, but if you have another horrible season, that's when at least I start to look at it. It's Thanksgiving of year 2 is when most GMs and most front offices start to look at teams or quarterbacks and say, all right, is this a rookie that we need to move on from? So Bryce Young, the clock starts ticking immediately, and the Panthers don't have that difficult of a schedule. I'm looking here, Chicago, Denver, New Orleans, the Giants. These are all games before Thanksgiving, so Bryce Young will have his opportunity. It's just a matter of going out there and actually whether or not he's a good quarterback or not.
That's actually the game I think I'm most excited for this season.
The Bust Bowl?
The Bust Bowl. Because we'll watch that game. Both quarterbacks will stink. I'll come on our reaction show on October 6th and say, yep, Jack Weinberger right. Once again, the last
3-0 game.
The last 2 years. It'll be 6-3 Panthers game-winning field goal. I was right the last 2 years.
I have a gripe, Ziggy.
And everyone will apologize to me.
I have a gripe. A bit larger than Jack's gripe with the number 1 picks here. I look up and down my Vikings schedule this season. I see one primetime game at the Rams on Thursday Night Football. And I understand.
That's all we deserve.
What makes you want to be on prime? I'm sure you have one primetime game.
I understand. We're not supposed to be a good team. But
can I tell you what grinds my gears about that?
What?
We finally move on from Kirk Cousins, and that's when they take away all our primetime games. Where was this when Kirk was on the team? Why couldn't we have one primetime game?
We would have been like 13 and 14 and 3.
17-0.
Yeah, undefeated seasons in Minnesota. If we had this schedule with Kirk Cousins, we would be 16-1.
But look, who wants to watch Sam Darnold on primetime? Nobody.
Well, I think McCarthy at some point is going, oh, look, with the way I think the Vikings got shafted with the start to the schedule. At the Giants, then San Francisco, Houston, Green Bay, the Jets, and freaking London, which, to be fair, we do win. If we're 1-4, you could be seeing Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy. God, then we come out of that with Detroit and the Rams. I don't know if they'd start him for Detroit. That's a tough game to be thrown into for your first start. Ziggy,
it is after the bye, though.
Do you have the Vikings schedule in front of you?
Yeah.
Where do you think, if you were picking when JJ McCarthy was to start, what do you expect? Because a report came out today that if he follows the schedule and developmental plan and is where the Vikings want him, there's actually a path to him starting against the Giants week 1. I don't think it happens. Where do you see JJ McCarthy starting on that schedule?
When I'm starting a rookie quarterback, if it's possible, I think after the bye is good. You get more time to prepare for the particular opponent. You get to do more simulations, just a better opportunity to get them ready to go in the game. Now, I know that that's going to be versus Detroit. But at a certain point,
just got to play him.
You have to play him. And at that point, you've gone past the real defensive line gauntlets, right? You don't have to worry about Nick Bosa. You don't have to worry about Danielle Hunter. You don't have to worry about that Jets offensive line. You don't have to worry about the newly vaunted Green Bay defense everyone's going to be talking about.
I mean, even the Giants, too, with Brian Burns and Thibodeau.
Brian Burns to Dexter Lawrence, always underrated.
Aiden Hutchinson, JJ.
But our tackles are good. It's one guy, and there's always going to be good players.
So is that what we're circling week 7 for JJ McCarthy?
As long as he is following their progression and they feel like he should play at some point in the season, I think October 20th, week 7 is the time to start him.
I think I'm with you on that.
I'm going to make an absurd prediction. So I think you win week 1 against the Giants. I think they're one of the worst teams in football. Then your home opener, is that a night game or is it around 1 o'clock? Home opener,
1 o'clock.
Crowd will be going crazy. I think the Vikings win.
You think we beat San Francisco?
I think we beat San Francisco.
2-0?
Yes. And then
keep it rolling.
Then Houston comes into town. Sam Darnold's like, you know what? This guy's a young 22-year-old kid. I'm not going to lose this guy. I think they beat Houston.
3-0.
Green Bay's a rivalry game. Anybody could win.
4-0.
4-0.
And then the revenge.
Then the revenge for Darnold.
The revenge
5-0. And McCarthy has his butt on the pine.
I like it. And then what? Then we crumble.
Yeah, no, you finished 12-4.
Oh, so you're the Vikings. Yeah, you're the Vikings of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait for the Viking prediction video with Jack here. But I want to go back to my gripe because it's not just Ziggy that we have in one primetime game. It's that the teams like and I know they're the Giants. I know they're the Steelers. The Giants have 5 primetime or holiday games. Oh, wait, actually, this is one Germany. 4. And the Steelers have what?
Well, I don't want to be compared to the Giants.
3, 4, 5, 6. I guess you have Russell Wilson.
I'm not compared to I don't want to be compared to the Giants.
I mean, but the Giants.
We're a team who should be in the playoffs. The Giants are.
I really want to watch the Giants and Cowboys on Thursday Night Football and the Giants and Bengals on Sunday Night Football. No, I really don't want to watch the Giants and Steelers on Thursday Night Football.
You mean to tell me, though, like you don't like when it's dark, prime time, you're seeing the terrible towels flying around on TV?
That's pretty cool. I'm probably wrong for lumping them in.
Come on, the Giants are awful. We're a fun team to watch on prime time.
Kirk's getting some love in terms of Kirk Cousins on prime time. They have 4 primetime games this year. Dude, I mean,
that's not a lot of love.
Atlanta could be a fun. That's not bad.
That's a lot of hate.
What you think?
That's 4 losses to Atlanta off the bat.
Their primetime games are Philly, Kansas City, Tampa, and Las Vegas. That's 2-2 right there. They'll be 2.
That's probably 2-2. Yeah,
they'll be 2-2.
What is that? Where? I mean, in Tampa, you never know.
In Tampa, no home.
Oh, it's home. Okay, yeah.
They'll win that. They'll win in Vegas. They'll lose at Philly. They'll lose to the Chiefs.
They host the Chiefs.
Yes,
they'll beat the Chiefs.
Really?
Yeah, I think they'll beat the Chiefs.
All right. I think last topic here before. Unless, does anyone else have anything on the schedule?
I have one more game.
Okay, we got one more topic. All right, go ahead.
This is Chargers Chiefs. It's Chiefs at Chargers Sunday Night Football Week 14, December 8th.
Chargers at Chiefs. Let me find that here. Chargers at Chiefs.
Chiefs at Chargers or Chargers at Chiefs?
It's Chiefs at Chargers.
Chiefs at.
Oh no, I am incorrect. The Chiefs are hosting.
And what week is that?
Week 14.
You're enticed by that game because?
Well, I'm enticed by that game for the following reason, right? Everybody's. Well, I don't know why you're laughing at me. The Chargers are a new and improved
The Chargers are terrible.
You say the Chargers are terrible. I think the Chargers are going to be making a late season playoff push. I genuinely think this Chargers team. Do I think they're going to make the playoffs? Maybe.
Well, they have Herbert, so yeah, I think
they have Herbert. They've got a functional defense. They'll hopefully have some weapons. Herbert's historically done pretty well against the Chiefs. It's a rivalry game. It's prime time, and like realistically, the Chargers after that game, it's at Buccaneers versus Broncos, at Patriots, at Raiders. This Chiefs game is the last hard game on their schedule. If they're able to win this and build some momentum, that's the kind of thing that can propel a team, I don't think to a division win, but into the playoffs.
Well, and another big thing about that is right before that game, the 3 weeks before the Chiefs, the Chargers have the Bengals. The Harbaugh Bowl is going to be great. Week 12, Monday Night Football, hosting John.
I forgot those two were in a Super Bowl against each other.
Yeah. Oh, no. It's what, 12 years
totally
ago?
Forgot that.
It's 12 years ago at this point.
I forgot Jim coached in the NFL.
But the Chargers, dude, that's going to be a fun game to watch. But before that, they have the Bengals, the Ravens, the Falcons, and the Chiefs. I mean, that's a tough stretch here. And after it's Ziggy, Tampa Bay, Denver, New England, Las Vegas. That could be the spark. Yeah, like you said, that could spark a late season push for Harbaugh's team because that schedule there towards the end of the year, that's 4 very winnable games. You could be seeing the Chargers coming in red hot. Jim Harbaugh has that team going. Justin Herbert's getting hot. You can never count out the best quarterbacks in the league. And Herbert's, for as much flack as people give him for the records they've had, he's a top 5, top 7 quarterback in football. That's not a bad game to pick.
And they're one of those teams. I think this is how they will be talked about. Say they slot in right at the 6th seed, which I think is realistic. If you're whatever AFC winner, say like it's the Texans that have to play them or the Dolphins that have to play them. That Chargers team is going to be the team out of the 3 wildcard teams. You say, boy, they've won 4 or 5 of their last games. They've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league. We do not want to play them.
Boy, howdy.
Knowing my, my luck when it comes to sports and picking winners and all that in the NFL, that Harbaugh Bowl, I'll make one of those jokes. I'd be like, oh, I bet you Harbaugh wins this game. And they tie. I bet that's going to happen.
It is crazy. We talk about all the time as Zach was here. We talk about how the Chiefs have so many of these big games at home, and they have 6 primetime or holiday games here. The big ones against Baltimore at home. They have Houston at home. They have Cincinnati. That's not a primetime game, but that's at home too. Like the schedule does seem to generally favor Kansas City. I don't know why, but it's still going. You see it here, right, Jack?
Yep.
And Thursday Night Football, Baltimore. At home for Cincinnati. Saturday football against Houston. That's another little advantage when you talk about going after the 1 seed. Those really important AFC games, Kansas City gets in their building in Arrowhead, which is a tough place to play. You can't overlook that as well. They go to Buffalo, though, to be fair.
If I told you that I saw the future and one of these two things happened, okay, what would you say it is? The Chiefs go 0-18 with Mahomes healthy all year, or the Vikings go undefeated and win the Super Bowl. I told you one of them happened. Which one is it?
It would be the Chiefs. The Vikings.
Chiefs.
We're not winning.
No, it's the Vikings go undefeated and win the Super Bowl.
That's what it should be. It wouldn't.
That's what it would be.
Imagine the Chiefs going 0-18 with Mahomes. How would that be possible?
Because the alternative would be a Viking Super Bowl. That's the only way it's possible.
I saw the future. One of those.
I think we have to, even though we're going to have the Green Bay schedule prediction, we do have to mention here, the Packers have a stretch of games where they have Thanksgiving versus Miami, Thursday night at Detroit, Sunday night at Seattle, and Monday night hosting New Orleans. I think that those are all winnable games for Green Bay. Maybe Detroit's a loss there, but to have 4 straight primetime games is pretty crazy. You don't usually see that on your schedule. It's kind of nuts.
Well, there are a team people want to watch.
We're going to be, I was looking through the schedule. I'm going, wow, this is really strange for, as much hype as there is around Green Bay. They go to the Rams. They play the Texans. None of these games are in prime time after the Philly game. And then I was like, oh, here it is. Boom, 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 boom. And the week before is San Francisco on the 4:30 game. So
it's very, they're the Houston of the NFC.
No, they are.
Houston has what, like 5 primetime games as well?
I think that Houston Packer game in Lambeau Field is one that I'm most looking forward to.
Oh, that's
probably my top 10 game.
Oh, that was fantastic.
Yeah, because the Stroud and Love are the 2 quarterbacks really that we're talking about as, all right, could they represent their conference in going forward?
That game might get us to 100K alone.
That could be. That's it. That
could be the gold mine right there.
What we talked about during the playoffs, that was like the Farrington Show Bowl.
And
Packers and Houston. I think the Green Bay schedule is really favorable. And we're going to talk about more in the Packer game by game prediction video we'll have coming out. But after Philly, Indianapolis, Tennessee, Minnesota, the Rams, the Cardinals, host Houston, Jacksonville, like all that leading up to Detroit in your bye, you're in a really good spot. But again, a bye week 10 is nice for Green Bay. I think they're in a really, really good position with their schedule to have a solid season. Because the Vikings and Packers have many similar games. It's different though when you have the Vikings opening of San Francisco, Houston, the Jets. Those tough games early can set a bad tone. Now the Vikings overcame it last year before Kirk's injury, but it's nice to get off to that hot start. And I think Green Bay's in a good position here where their start and end to the year are not too bad. The battle between Green Bay and Detroit, I'm kind of pissed off they don't have Packers-Lions week 18 because that could be for the division. But
that could be fun, yeah.
Any thoughts on Green Bay before we go to the mailbag, Ziggy? Or
it's I'll share my thoughts on Green Bay.
Yeah. So Ziggy will hold it. All right, let's move on to the mailbag. Now we don't have too many questions here, but it's going to be fun to talk about. From Dan Stoyer, he says, "Hey guys, love the mailbag segment. What's your go-to food on game day? I personally love grilling out some delicious burgers, brats, and some fries.
Can't go wrong with that.
That's not bad.
Can't go wrong with that at all.
A lot of times we have big Italian subs here on game day. We go over to one of the local delis, Wilkes, and just load up on Italian subs and prosciutto and mozzarella. Oh, it's so good.
So I love on both college football Saturday and NFL Sunday, this pizza place on the road called Kinchili's. We order a couple thin crust pies, some bar pies, mozzarella sticks, garlic bread parm. That's
great
been my go-to for the last few years. That was my whole life. Actually.
What are you doing, Ziggy? Some soup? You cutting? I know you're a big soup.
Also, I'm a big pretzel guy. That is, I've started doing this. I bake some pretzels. That is, pretzels is a slept on game day food. I think everyone thinks about like the wings or whatever. Pretzels rock.
Like the
pretzels
big like soft pretzels with like dips and stuff.
Yeah, they're actually really easy to make. You can just cook these up real quick, bake them. It's delicious.
There's a pretzel shop in town. I've been there every day for the last month and a half.
I've not got one.
It's fantastic.
Is it?
Yeah, it's very good.
Potential sponsorship. Second question from Dan. He says, I saw that Goff got paid because of this contract. What will the Packers give Jordan Love now? So Goff got a 4-year, $212 million contract extension that puts him at $53 million a year, number 2 in the NFL, behind Joe Burrow. I mean, we're talking a lot of money here. I actually think, though, when we're talking about the quarterback market, the $50 million club prior to Goff was Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. Those are superstar quarterbacks. Those are star quarterbacks. Goff, while he's played like a star lately, I don't put him in that same tier. And I think that what's crazy now is we're going to start seeing 50 million as kind of the benchmark for good quarterbacks. And it's sort of like, remember Daniel Jones got the $40 million a year contract, and that sort of put a lot of people over the top again. Like, quarterbacks are starting to take on more and more. Ziggy, this is what you enjoy talking about here. Quarterbacks are starting to take on more and more of the salary cap. Matt Ryan set the benchmark when he had $30 million a year in 2018. He's only 16.9% of the salary cap then. Jared Goff's number is 20.75% of the 2024 cap. So these quarterbacks are going higher and higher and higher. I think Jordan Love, man, he's going to get an extension this year. If Jordan Love waited a year, I bet he went into the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a few months ago, I was saying that I thought this would be a contentious negotiation between the Packers and Jordan Love. And everyone said, oh, no, the day he can, May 4th, 2024, the first day that he's able to ink that extension, they'll have a number locked up and he'll sign it right away. It's been a couple weeks, and the news isn't the deal's right around the corner. I'll tell you what stands out to me. It's not the dollar number. The dollar number is big, and I don't think a lot of people thought Goff was going to get that. It's the fact that the Lions were only able to get 4 years out of him. Right? So they are making a huge commitment to Jared Goff with this deal, right? Realistically, they can't cut him until at least year 3. And realistically, it's likely,
year 4 or 5.
Yeah, he's going to have to play out most of the rest of the deal. And the fact that they were only able to get 4 years tacked on for making a $53 million APY commitment to Jared Goff, they couldn't get a 5th year, mostly not guaranteed, that they could throw on there, makes me think the market is even stronger than it looks from the outside.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have some thoughts about what this means for the Lions, and we'll talk about that at some point at a later date. But Jordan Love, I think he is going to sign a big contract for a short amount of time.
Okay. I know we gave the prediction earlier this year. I'm trying to remember what was your predict. Do you remember your prediction from earlier?
I don't.
So Jordan Love, yeah, let's say he gets his extension this offseason, which, it's going to probably happen. He's got to go for is he going to match Burrow's number, you think, 55?
I think that Jordan Love will set a new standard on the market.
I'm starting to think that too. Originally, I thought he was going to be, 50 million or so, but now if Goff's getting 53, I think Love, yeah, I'm with you. I think Love's going to approach 60.
If I'm the Packers at this point, I'm willing to give Jordan Love the number he wants, but I'm demanding we get 5 years.
Could you see 60?
60 is high. Typically players, that's asking they come in at almost 10% more than the Burrow deal. That's not going to happen. But something like 56 a year for 5 years, I think, is not an unrealistic.
Yeah, have you guys ever thought about like maybe it's probably just me, but like sending a letter or something to a quarterback who's making like millions, be like, hey, I'm such a huge fan, blah, 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 this whole thing. Can you give me like $1 million?
$1 million? Yeah.
You get 4 of them to say yes, and you got $4 million right there. Have you ever thought of doing that?
Never.
Like big, like Roethlisberger, I'm a huge fan, been all your games, blah, blah, blah. Like,
can I have $1 million?
You please give me like $500K for my,
it's insane.
Like for my family.
I sent something to Brett Favre once and got a sign thing.
Got a dick pic in return?
Oh yeah. You can't set him up like that. You can't set him up like that.
You threw me a hanging curveball at 70 over the middle.
I was 7 years old, man.
That's.
Well, you didn't answer my question. So it's a no.
Yeah, I'm with you though, Ziggy. I think that Love is going to get a huge deal now, and it's better for the Packers to do it now. Look at the Cowboys with Dak Prescott. They keep waiting and waiting and waiting. That price tag just goes up. Josh Allen, my guess is going to be the first guy to crack 60 whenever he restructures. Because Josh Allen's what, $43 million a year right now? I bet Josh Allen's the first guy to get to this.
Josh Allen is locked up until 2028. He's not The Bills are not going to redo that deal anytime soon. This is why it's so good and why getting as many years as you can is so important on a deal like this.
You don't think they'll restructure that?
Why would they? Is Josh Allen going to decide to stop playing for them? It's incredibly rare in the NFL when you have multiple years on a player's contract to just completely rip it up and say, we're going to ignore that contract you signed.
I mean, I guess it depends what Josh Allen does. If Josh Allen is looking at the situation saying, all right, these guys, like the market's completely reset. I do a lot. Clearly I do a lot for this team. And like I understand that's a contract, but I can see him going to the Bills.
When you have multiple cost controlled years, there is basically nothing you can do as a player unless you are willing to retire.
I'm standing by it. I think Josh Allen would be willing to retire.
Just has that ever? When was the last time that happened? That a player with multiple cost controlled years was able to get several years at the end of their deal completely ripped up. He might sign a big extension in like 2026, 2027 that adds some more expensive years. But that's a different thing.
Okay, maybe I'll go with that then. Yeah, I think Josh Allen's the first $60 million a year guy. That's the prediction I'm making.
We're going to hit there before Josh Allen is.
It might be Jordan Love. Okay, Slum Jit, who is a member.
What's his name? Slum Jit?
Slum Jit, yeah. That sounds like something inappropriate.
It sounds like you're getting it wrong.
Slum Jit, SLUMJIT. He's a member too, so we'll clap it up for Slum.
Maybe Slum Jeet. I almost spilled this.
I see. I told you, man.
But he didn't.
Huge Packer fan and loved the podcast, and he wrote love capital LOV, so that could be intentional. I'm just wondering why no one else.
I just had it on caps off a mistake.
Why no one's as high on the Vikings as they are the Bears. The Vikings, in my opinion, have a better offense than Chicago with Jones, Jefferson, TJ, and Addison. I think if they give JJ a shot, they have a higher ceiling than Chicago. I just feel like everyone's overlooking that. What do you all think? I'll take it and I'll throw it to you, Ziggy, as a fellow Viking fan. Quarterback.
I'll just run to the bathroom when you guys are done.
Ziggy, no, Jack, of course, Jack. I'm looking at two things. One, quarterback. When we talk about being quote unquote high on a team, we're talking about potential here. And Caleb Williams just has so much more potential in my eyes than JJ McCarthy. Even though I like JJ, I think he could be good. We have a good team around him. And Caleb Williams versus Sam Darnold, I think Caleb Williams is the guy you'd rather have there.
Two crap USC quarterbacks.
Yeah, right. And then on the other side of it, when you look at the defenses, Chicago's defense closed last year so strong. We remember that they really came on at the end. And the Vikings defense has more severe holes. So I do think the Vikings are probably being underrated going into this year, where with their win totals, I believe, is 6.5. I think they can actually hit that number and go over to get 8 wins maybe. But Chicago actually has real playoff potential with the team they have. That's why I would say it's rightfully so that they are being placed with higher expectations.
I think the other thing to keep an eye on is look at how the defense performed near the end of the season. The Vikings defense started really well, but once people figured out how you could beat Flores, the defense started to perform a lot worse. Meanwhile, it was the opposite story in Chicago, right? The defense started out really rough, but after that Montez Sweat trade, the defense looked completely transformed.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, you talk about the quarterback. That's a huge thing, right? And people are right, I think, to be higher on Caleb Williams than JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy has just not done nearly as much as Caleb Williams has done. And I think it's going to be a tougher adjustment period. But the defense, I think, also has to do some of the work in explaining that.
All right, let's go on to James Library. He says, another member. Thank you, James.
He's becoming regular. He's becoming regular.
He leaves comments all the time. It's super nice. He says, hey, guys, love what you're doing. I'm sure you'll make it to at least 13K subs by the time the season rolls around.
That'd be pretty awesome.
That'd be awesome. We're closing in on 11. My question is, and it's funny, reading this question, what is your favorite rivalry to watch that doesn't involve your team?
I was going to say Steelers-Ravens is automatic.
Well, that's the thing. I read the question. I went, it's Steelers. Like growing up too, because
Steelers, that's the best for sure.
Rooting against the Steelers, so I won't have to hear it from Jack. I love those Steelers-Ravens games were so fun to watch. They still are. James says, I always try and make an effort to watch Steelers-Ravens.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
So there it is from James. I think Steelers-Ravens are...
that's the best.
Awesome.
Clear cut is the best in football. Outside of that...
now it sucks, but...
honestly, it doesn't, though.
The games are still good.
Like, we played Baltimore in meaningful games the last like 4 years.
It's still great. Those games are always amazing.
We've beaten them too.
How about you?
Do we have to pick an NFL rivalry?
I'm going to say yes, but I want to hear where you're going anyway.
Because otherwise I would have gone, honestly, my favorite rivalry game to watch is just Army-Navy. That is how football is meant to be played in a certain way. You don't get to see a whole lot of games like that.
That's some absurd nonsense I've ever heard.
I'm gonna
hate the Army-Navy game.
I'm gonna try and say, I love America. I'm a huge fan of America. You're not gonna see me dissing the greatest country on earth. The Army-Navy game is awesome to talk. It's awesome to be like, oh, it's Army-Navy week. But then I'm like,
it's how football's supposed to be played.
I don't ever watch the Army-Navy.
It's the most boring football game.
Yeah, because you guys don't actually like football. You like passing.
No. I also like teams that are good. Like I don't care. I'll turn it on. No, I won't. I almost never turn it on. I see who wins, and I think, oh, I know some people, in the Army. I know some people in the Navy. I congratulate the winner. I think tradition is unbelievable. But like in terms of me watching it, I don't really care.
My favorite rivalry ever is Pitt, West Virginia.
Another meaningless
backyard brawl. No, it's the backyard brawl. And then an NFL outside of Steelers Ravens, I really don't care about much else. Maybe I'd go like
Vikings Saints.
Yeah, like Cowboys Eagles. Is that a rivalry?
Like, yeah, it's a rivalry, but
it's a big rivalry.
Yeah.
I guess Cowboys Eagles.
How about you, Ziggy? NFL.
Give me any permutation of the AFC North.
Yeah, the AFC North is great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look over here. There was
the NFL honestly, the NFL just doesn't have that many interesting rivalries. I'll be honest.
No. You know what? Right now, Bills Chiefs is must watch.
Although I do love the other AFC North games because I know one of those teams will lose that day.
So unless it's a tie, in which case they both lose, I guess.
Then it's
with the Chiefs.
A tie is basically a loss.
A tie is basically a loss, yeah.
With the Chiefs right now, I think Chiefs Bills and then Chiefs Bengals. Like those games are always awesome.
Those are good.
It's like the quarterback rivalries are better than some of the team rivalries right now, in my opinion. Ziggy, you're right. The Army Navy is an awesome rival.
Ziggy, you know what tying is like? Tying's like kissing your sister.
No, kissing your sister is worse than tying.
I think it's about equal.
Jack, what the F are you talking about?
Tying is worse than losing.
What?
When you
we're moving on. I don't want to hear this.
Before, let's just move on. Let's for your sake, let's just move on.
Kissing your let's move on.
Yeah. Please.
Mercury Road 55, another member. Thank you, Mercury Road. He says
it's just lips on lips, but it's just weird.
All right. Please stop. Please stop.
All right, Mercury Road. No. Mercury Road 55 says
I had to get it.
Cicadas are set to do a dual brood emergence throughout the Midwest in a once in 221 year phenomenon. I actually saw that. It's supposed to be the tons of cicadas. In that same time period, the Vikings have yet to win a Super Bowl, despite living above ground and not hibernating for 17 years. So my question is this. Should Viking seasons be referenced not in years, but cicada cycles so it won't sound as bad? Example, we have never won a Super Bowl, but we're only 25% way through a double brood cicada cycle, so let's be patient. It feels better. Your thoughts? I'm going to just say F off, Mercury Road. That is absurd.
I love that. I love that comment.
It's hysterical. It's very funny. I understand. We never win.
He's invited to the Darty on Saturday.
I know we don't win. I know. That's a great comment.
He's invited to the Darty.
Good diss. When we win in Lambeau Field, I think I'm going to plant a Vikings flag in the middle.
Are you a fan?
Before you tackle.
Are you a fan of daytime parties, Mercury Road? Because you're invited this week.
Feel free. That'll be fun. XX McLovin XX says, thank you, of course, always XX McLovin for your comments. He says, what are your thoughts on the Justin Fields and the toxic QB room in 2021? And on the Chicago topic, if Caleb plays mid-level and Chicago stinks, do you think that changes? And his question got cut off for some reason.
I think he's asking if Chicago will change coaches.
Yeah, I think Eberflus is on the hottest seat of anyone actually in the NFC North right now. I don't think it's particularly close because Chicago, especially with the new quarterback, a lot of times you think that breeds a little bit extra breathing room for your head coach. For some reason, with the Eberflus in Chicago, I think that they're willing to move on and bring in one of these hotshot younger guys and try and restart it. Maybe even like a Ben Johnson or someone, who knows who it could be. Going to Chicago. So I think Eberflus needs a good year or he is gone.
Yeah, I don't know. The Bears are just doing the same thing they did with Nagy, right? Where they have the like borderline lame duck head coach, where he really needs to turn things around, or else they're going to sell him and bring in a new coaching staff in the QB's year too. I think that's baffling. That makes me think actually that they're going to stick with Eberflus unless things go really, really poorly. But I don't know. I am just puzzled at them not bringing in a coach who seems better positioned to make Caleb Williams succeed. But what do I know?
How big can your expectations really be right now when you're clearly not a top 2 team in the division with a rookie quarterback starting?
No, you're right. They can't be that high.
Like what's so bad about maybe going?
I mean, the Bears' odds of making the playoffs right now are minus 130. The expectation is in the building is they will make the playoffs.
I think that's absurd.
I think it is absurd, but like those are, we talk on the show. I keep saying they're a playoff team. Like people expect them to be decent. They rode last season. At the end of the year, they had momentum going, and now you think you upgrade a quarterback, you upgrade almost everywhere in Chicago.
You can't say upgrade. You can't say upgrade a quarterback. You just can't say that right now.
All right, you assume that you upgrade a quarterback.
If Caleb Williams does not outperform Justin Fields last year, the coaching staff's gone. They're getting someone new to try and make it better.
Yeah, I would agree.
You can say that's not their fault. Maybe it's not, but that is just what is going to happen.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Matt Neals 8203, another member. Thank you, Matt. He says, "What do you guys think What do you guys think of the hottest Packers undrafted free agent prospect, Hayward Jablomi?"
I'm a Packer fan now.
It's really. I'll give you guys a little insider information on this. Just I'm an extremely gullible person. Maybe it's because I expect the best out of people, or I hope for the best out of people. I read this comment today, and I went like, Jablomi, that's a really weird last name. And I
probably started looking up, figure out who.
I Googled Hayward Jablomi.
He's invited to the Doherty.
I Googled Packers free agent Hayward Jablomi, and I'm like, oh my God, I know what's happening here.
That's like a Mike Hunt situation.
Dyslexic Lemons says, if you could inherit any team's fan base to yours, which would it be? And why?
Oh, I've got an easy answer.
What was the question?
You can inherit any team's fan base.
Any fan base to join the Steelers fan base. Who would you want?
I'm taking the Packers. I don't want the Packers to have any fans. 0 Packers fans in the world. I'd be so excited.
I think I would take the Eagles fan.
Oh,
Steelers.
What?
Steelers and Eagles in one rooting for one team. That would be amazing.
That'd be an absurd home field advantage.
That would be, nobody would win there.
People
Imagine
killed in that state.
Yeah, the Eagles for sure.
I have 2 answers.
Pennsylvania, baby.
One would be the Packers fan base, because it's unfortunate, but I do really like the Packers fan base. Like every Packers fan I know is really nice. And then for the Vikings, forming that northern wall for Wisconsin and Minnesota. I mean, that's a friendly fan base. You're just chilling out, eating brats, and you got a ton of people, a lot of fans. The Packers have the top 5 largest fan base. The other one,
they travel well too.
Yeah. I would love the Packers. Bills Mafia would be a ton of fun.
Oh, that would be a lot of fun.
Lunatics.
Yeah.
They're lunatics.
Yeah,
that would just be a blast hanging out. I think the Vikings have, one of the best, if not the best fan base in football.
Your fan base sucks.
We have a great fan base. You kidding me? Phenomenal fans, great home field advantage. Minnesota.
I remember that's very good. That stadium was so quiet against the Giants, and you guys, it was just pathetic.
You guys loud. What are you talking about? We also had nothing to cheer for that game, but 2, the stadium was great.
It sounded quiet. It sounded quiet on TV.
The building.
It sounded quiet. I forgot you were there. It was quiet on TV though.
Sammy 50599 says, happy to catch another mailbag. First off, ball, how was Wisconsin? Super fun. Again, I don't think I would be able to survive in Madison if I went to school there, because I would just be having way too much fun.
That's what I said about Auburn.
Would love to hear more about your trip. Now for the main question. Jack, do you see the Steelers
some love, baby.
Do you see the Steelers using their black magic to either resurrect Russell Wilson or unlocking Justin Fields' potential?
Why not both? Well, I'm gonna say I'd prefer, if I had to choose between 2, to resurrect Russell Wilson. I think Justin Fields' potential is super, super high. I've said it before.
Yeah, but wouldn't you prefer that?
If you
get franchise quarterback.
But if you resurrect Russ, that's the man who won a bowl.
But you get Fields for like 8 years.
Well, yeah, Fields is younger. That's the thing. Yeah. Well, he's talking just this year, like for the Steelers, like going forward.
Well, do you think that either of those guys?
If you're talking resurrected Russ for this upcoming season, we're winning the Super Bowl.
Do you think that it'll happen?
No.
Do you think they'll get anything out of Fields, or do you think this is going to blow up?
No. I mean, if we were to get something, I think it's probably out of Fields. I think he's much younger. Was he 24, 25 years old?
The nice thing for you guys though is there's really no stake in the game. You know, you're paying nothing to Russ. You gave up a 6th-round pick for Fields.
I'd say overall, over time, the answer is obviously Fields, unlocking his potential. If you're talking for this upcoming season, a Russ resurrection.
But you don't expect either to happen.
I mean, I want to say yes, but probably not.
Do you have anything on that, Ziggy? Or?
I don't expect a Russ resurrection. Maybe a Fields unlocking the potential.
I think the Russ resurrection is more likely.
I'll
say that much.
I'm with you.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we've seen Russell Wilson be a great NFL quarterback before. We have never seen Justin Fields be a great NFL quarterback. And until we see that from Justin Fields, that's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
From JK Zarata, who is a member. Thank you, JK. And let me know the pronunciation. I'll get it right for the next mailbag. He says, who do you feel has the greatest international fan base? Over the past several years, my wife and I have been lucky enough to travel to many countries, mostly in Europe. And everywhere we go, we see a ton of Packer apparel. Just this last Christmas, I talked about the Packers locker room in a small vendor in Vienna. To me, Ziggy, did you hear the rest of that? It gets cut off for me here.
Let me pull it up here.
I was going to say the Cowboys, probably.
So in terms of fan bases,
I've got it pulled up. So to me, it feels like the Packers have a global presence, but I'm not sure if it's just my green and gold goggles. I also tend to see a lot of 49ers and Cowboys gear everywhere I go. Who do you think is the best international presence for the NFL?
I mean,
we'll dig at the Vikings that I'm not going to read.
Always remember, you got to read it.
As a side note, whether in the U.S. or abroad, anytime I see someone rocking Bears apparel, I can't help but think, that's so cute. That's a real fan right there. It might be the same for Vikings fans, but I'm not sure I've ever actually seen one in the wild.
In the wild.
I mean, I think the answer has to be, there are a lot of Packers fans out there, don't get me wrong, but it has to be the Cowboys, right?
It's got to be.
The Cowboys have a massive.
Dallas like the Yankees.
I also think that the 49ers have a huge, they are massive. I know when I went out, agreeing with the comment here, when I went out to Europe for a little while, you definitely saw 49er stuff out there. I would guess those Dallas and San Francisco. The Steelers are big, but Steelers are probably in there. Patriots are probably somewhere in there. Packers, but I think Dallas and San Francisco, I remember seeing a lot.
Giants.
You know who you always see for you saw two things mostly when you were abroad. Everyone has a Yankee hat everywhere.
Yankees, yeah.
Yankee hat is everywhere. And Michael Jordan.
Oh, Michael Jordan.
And Michael Jordan. Those were the two that I remember seeing all the time. It was Yankee hats and Michael Jordan. Not like random Chicago Bulls stuff. Jordan. From DD Jenkins 5409, he says, I know you guys love these questions. So do you think Christian Watson will have his breakout year in Green Bay this year, or did he only have hype because Aaron Rodgers threw him the ball like Alan Lazard? Breakout?
Christian Watson is not Alan Lazard. I think that a breakout year, that depends on what that means. Mm-hmm. But I expect Christian Watson, assuming he can stay healthy, to put up 700 or 800 yards and a handful of touchdowns.
Agree.
I think he'll have a very good year, but I think it's just, I've said this before, I think it's tough for any one of these receivers to break out because there's just so many of them.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Love will spread the wealth, but that's what the Packers fans should want.
Yeah, a true breakout. If you're talking about like a 12 or 1300 yard season, I don't see that coming from Christian Watson.
800 yards for sure. Yeah.
People had high expectations for him last year. He battled the injury bug. I believe he had hamstring problems a lot of the year, but whenever he played, he looked good. When he was healthy, he looks good. So I don't think that Christian Watson, by any means, is someone who you're going to be disappointed in when he's on the field. It's just, yes, there are so many other people in Green Bay. I mean, even Josh Jacobs now. Like, you have stars all over the place on that offense. I don't think he's going to get the volume to truly break out in that regard. But you'll get good play from him at receiver. So I'd be excited still if I were a Packer fan. Okay, let's move on here. Just a couple more now. From Craig Sheeran 602, he says, I've seen Super Bowl and Texans thrown around a lot. Do you think CJ Stroud will go to the Super Bowl this upcoming season? We've gotten this a few times. It's hard to say, Eddie. You can never predict someone to go to the Super Bowl.
The answer is probably not.
Yeah, the answer is probably not. I put the Texans behind the Chiefs, behind the Ravens, behind the Bengals, and probably behind one of the AFC East teams in terms of who I think will go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, to ask, like, do you think he will go to the Super Bowl? The answer is
no. But like, I also am not even sure. I think Houston is a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah,
but I don't think they're higher than at least 4 AFC teams.
I mean, they can go to the Super Bowl.
100% they can.
They can. A lot of teams cannot.
Yes,
and Houston can.
From Merle. Merle says, with each year, quarterback contracts get larger and larger. Do you think it would be a smart idea to add a cap to how much one player can make? No, I think that part of it is strategy too. You know, if teams want to hand out $70 million to a quarterback and eat up all of their cap, go for it. That's what you do with your money. Then. Yeah, I agree. It hurts the rest of your roster. I think that every player has the right to make as much money as they possibly can, and at some point, team building becomes a factor, and that's a decision that GMs have to make when navigating contracts. Ziggy, you're more of a contract guy than either of us. Would you say that I perfectly
you shouldn't put in a rule like that? Yeah, it's an open market as much as it can be. If there's already a limit on how much an individual player can make, namely the salary cap minus whatever you need in order to sign 51 undrafted free agents to a league minimum. You shouldn't be putting caps further than that.
We got 4 more questions here, guys. Will Lamar from Jeremy? Jeremy also always leaves comments, so we appreciate that, Jeremy. Will Lamar Jackson's lack of playoff success hinder his likelihood to win a 3rd MVP? Should that have any effect whatsoever? No, it should not have any effect on the MVP.
But it will.
You think it will?
I cannot see NFL voters, unless something really bizarre happens. I don't think voter fatigue is a thing, right? People get tired of voting for the same people year after year. Voter fatigue for a guy who I think not through much fault of his own, but nevertheless has struggled to win a lot of games in the playoffs. I do not think voters are going to be excited to hand a historic 3rd MVP to a guy who hasn't had a lot of postseason success.
I mean, if the Ravens are 14-3 this year and Lamar's unbelievable, I think he can very easily win MVP.
I think if there is a case for anyone else, Lamar's not going to get it.
What do you think, Jack? You are a Raven hater. Could you see Lamar getting a 3rd MVP?
I'm a Raven hater, but yes, I mean it's tough to see him if he wins the AFC North.
I mean, I'm just like look at the other guy. Like Dak is 8th in MVP odds. Josh Allen's 2nd. Justin Herbert is up there in top 10. Like these guys don't have much playoff success. I know they don't have the. I mean, Dak is known as a choker, and so is Josh Allen. I get it though, Ziggy. You are saying like to give a 3rd MVP to him, maybe not, but I would expect them.
Like if Baltimore's right, if they're 13-4 and win the North, like how is he not the MVP?
Yeah, if they're the 1 seed again, like
yeah, I guess if not, then you can go to like Mahomes.
Yeah. Luis Portillo, 6459, another member. Thank you, Luis. He says, "Here we go. You're going to enjoy this section, Ziggy. I asked this in the comments before understanding the rules, but for Ziggy, what do you think of Nietzsche?"
Come on, try that again. Try that again.
Nietzsche. Nietzsche. There's no
good hustle. Good
Who
hustle.
on earth is that?
I thought Nietzsche was pretty good.
No, hold on. You got to ask the other.
Is that a philosopher?
You got to ask the philosophy question that was aimed at Jack.
Is that a philosopher?
The long and short of it is that I think that Nietzsche gets almost everything wrong, but I think he's valuable insofar as he's carefully and systematically presenting something that really pushes against the kinds of things you're ordinarily inclined to think. He's very countercultural in this way, and I think that makes him helpful. He's worth reading.
I can't wait for the philosophy episode when Jack and I are just pounding beers, and then we see like a power hour of Ziggy philosophy hour. I like that right there.
You got
the power hour Ziggy philosophy hour.
You got to ask the Jack philosophy question from Amazing.
I will fake sick the episode of Ziggy's Power Hour philosophy hour.
No, you won't.
What happens with me and you? That's for members. The Amazing Oppo 4918 says, first question, Ziggy, do you have any famous philosophers that you absolutely hate?
Oh.
Depending on what hate means. If it's a sense of I think they're dead wrong.
You have to listen to this.
No, Jack, the second question's for you. The first, I'd probably go something like Nietzsche. I really don't like what you say. I think Locke is an incredible bore to read. Sorry, Antonia. I can't handle John Locke. Gassendi's kind of annoying. Those are a few people.
Drew Locke.
Hegel's impossible.
Second question, Jack, can you name any philosopher? Not any of the ones Ziggy just said.
Aristotle, Socrates. Screw you. I'm out.
Be missing out. All right, we got one more question here from Butt Pounder 420. Our boy.
Wait. Is it Socrates or Socrates?
You got it right.
I got it right. I got Socrates.
You got it right. You got it right.
Ziggy, are you impressed?
People don't understand this, but Jack is a great thinker.
People do think that I'm dumb.
Okay, Jack, in all seriousness, you have a chance to really impress me here. Tell me one thing that Aristotle wrote in one of his philosophy books. Just one thing.
Oh shoot! I actually, sophomore year of college, I took a philosophy class, and I got a B in the class. I did pretty decent, and I remember learning about Aristotle. What do you say? He proved that a straw has one hole, not two, right? Or am I wrong?
Get out of here, Jack.
Look, that question geared for me was, can you name a philosopher? I named two.
No, indeed. you said you wanted to impress me.
You're asking for grave and
I'm not asking for you to give me posterior analytics 219 analysis.
You're asking for the gravy. I supplied the turkey. It's all I needed. I don't need to pour on the gravy now.
If there's any reason to be a member, it's to listen to the Ziggy Power Hour Philosophy Hour episode.
It's Aristotle. I got that right too. Aristotle. It's not Aristotle. Is Aristotle?
No, you're dominating.
I'm also a philosopher.
The final question:
Aristotle, Socrates, and Jack Weinberger. Those are 3 philosophers I can name.
From Butt Pounder 420 says, "Why is it that every time I try to go where I really want to be, it's already where I am? Is it because I'm already there?" Ziggy, that's for you.
I don't understand what that means. I'm going to be real with you.
I'm already where I am. Is it because I'm already there? I can't even. Butt Pounder, you've completely perplexed the entire show.
You know what will also shock you guys?
What?
I know the capital of every state in the country.
Every state.
I know the capital of every state in the country. And you would not believe me.
Name a state.
Name a state.
Arkansas.
Little Rock. I know the capital of every state in the United States.
I mean, I have no way of proving it.
I'm just telling you that you wouldn't expect me to know that.
Every state. Ziggy, do you have a list in front of you?
I know most of the capitals.
Not all.
No, probably not. That's I could not tell you what the capital of Vermont is.
Montpelier.
Yeah. So you know it.
I mean, guys, Jack.
Give me New Hampshire.
No more.
New Hampshire.
That's
got him.
Concord.
Nope, he got it.
Yeah, the guy's good.
No more philosophy stuff, but ask me my capitals and I will nail it.
All right, we'll wrap up the show with that. Thanks again for everyone. If you stuck around for the entire thing, the mailbag was great as always. We appreciate everyone sending in their questions. We're definitely going to be releasing videos over the next couple weeks of schedule predictions, game by game. That's always a good time. Please remember to also like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Whenever we drop these mailbag posts, just submit a question. We'll try to get to as many as we can. And remember that if you sign up to be a member, you will have everything that you write read off on the show, including things like, "Hey, where'd you blow me?" That will be read on the show.
Paul, I will. I will.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. We'll see you next week for the Paul Farrington Show.